welcome to another episode of I'm That Geek, the only show in the world that puts you face to face with thought leaders in real time so you can pick their brain and get some actionable advice about your life, your business, your health, and your relationships. And today I am joining you from the Holy Land, which is why my setting is all different and interesting. And my site got hacked. So if you guys want to join us right now, there is a link, a Zoom link. You can just hop on into Zoom, join the conversation. I'll be monitoring social media as always, but if you want to actually get your own questions about your own business answered in real time, hop on into Zoom and we are going to help you any way we can. And so today, my amazing guest is someone that I really, really relate to, because you hear me talking about relationships over and over and over again. You're probably tired of hearing me saying, like, you need to invest in relationships. Brian Basilico has a system that he has been working for the past 15 years to bring home the bacon. And what does this Jewish girl has to do with bacon? I'll let Brian tell you. Hey, Brian.
Hey, how are you, Yifat?
So good to see you.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
Thank you. I love that you and I we're connected because of a mutual friend. Thank you, Jocelyn. And when you and I were on the phone and talking about what do we have in common and how do we see life and business and everything, you were sharing that you've been working this bacon system for the past 15 years, and it's all about relationships, and you have been helping your clients really focus on relationships and grow their business. So tell me, what does bacon stand for?
Okay, well, to make it simple, the first book I wrote, It's Not About You, It's About Bacon, is relationship marketing in a social media world. When I started writing that book, it was going to be a how-to book about social media, and as soon as I started writing it, 3 months into it, it was completely obsolete. So one of the things you need to understand, and I've explained this to you, is BACON is an acronym. It stands for Building Authentic Connections Online Networking. The other thing about it, it is one of the two most shared things on the internet. BACON and cat videos are the two most shared things on the internet. So it's a brand, that's really what it is. It's not about meat. You can be a vegan and still like bacon, it has nothing to do with that, but it's all about creating a brand that people will remember. So, on my news feed in Facebook, there isn't a day that goes by. If you friend me, you will see somebody post something about bacon on my news feed every single day, practically. So that's what bacon's about.
So I love that, and I love that because I'm, Israeli. I don't eat bacon, but I love the fact that you are really focusing on relationships, and you actually have a system around relationship that has been proven for the past 15 years, right? And a few things that people may not know about you. You are one of the top business podcasts out there, named by Inc. magazine to be one of the podcasts that people must listen to if they want to learn more about business. And I'm assuming you used your system to grow your podcast as well, right?
Right, exactly. So the BACON system is actually, this is book number 3 or 4, depending on if you count the workbook in between. The BACON system is built around the concepts that are principles that everybody can and should use. And the first thing is that I believe that if you're going to run a business, you need to own your assets. So that means that first and foremost, if you're going to have a business, you need to have your own website, especially one that's protected and doesn't get hacked.
Exactly.
Wink, wink. I'm so sorry for you. It's happened to me, and I know what it's like. It sucks. But, hackers, the one thing about hackers is they're always one step ahead of the people that are trying to prevent hacks. So they're really good at it. Why? They're trying to get credit card information. They're trying to get email addresses. They're trying to use your server as a broadcast studio for their email, all that crap. But the BACON system is about having your own web host, having your own domain name. Because here's the thing about social media. I love social media. I use it all the time. We're all over it every single day. But I've seen people build businesses on social media, and they'll get 1 million followers. And all of a sudden, they'll break a rule on Facebook. They take down the business page, and their business goes bankrupt. And I've seen 100 people lose their job in a day because of something like that. So the thing, and okay, so here's another Bacon-esque story. There is a meme that I put out there. It's two pigs in a barn, and the two pigs are standing there. One says, "Hey, isn't this great? We get to stay here for free." And the other one says, "Yeah, and they feed us, and we don't have to pay for that. This is awesome." And the line below it says, "Facebook, if you're not paying for it, then you are the product being sold."
It's true.
And that's what you have to understand about social media is you don't own it, so they could shut you down at any time if you don't play by their rules.
It's so true.
Having your own website is uber important. The second piece to the system is having Google Analytics. You would not run a business without understanding your QuickBooks or your numbers. Bottom line, I say you actually put up a graphic about this. Business is very simple. You spend $1, you make $3, right? You do that all day long. If I gave you $1 and you gave me $3, how many times would I go to that well?
A million times.
As much as I possibly could, right? Right?
Yes.
But if you're in business and you're spending $1 and you're making 50 cents, how long are you going to be in business?
Not very long.
Not much, right?
Yeah.
You're going to go broke sooner or later. So Google Analytics is basically QuickBooks for your websites and for your content, for the things that you do. So you need to understand your numbers of what's happening on your website. Now, a lot of people are obsessed with, I need to get as much traffic to my website as possible. With one of my clients and using this system, we actually decreased the volume of web traffic to their website by 50%, and they were happy as all get out. And the reason was because what we did is we got rid of all of the chaff. We got rid of all of the looky-loos and the tire kickers. And people that were showing up were spending, before we did what we did, they were spending maybe 30 seconds on the website. Now they're spending 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 6 minutes. They're digging deeper, and they're actually filling out the contact forms, picking up the phone and calling them. So they're getting better quality traffic on their website. So now they understand, it's not just the numbers, it's the quality, and that's the key thing. And that's what Google Analytics does for you. It helps you understand that. Third piece of the puzzle, the third part of the system, is content marketing. You have to have some original content out there. And if you're not putting out original content, yeah, you can curate things from other people, but the problem is you put that up on social media. Say you find a great article in Inc. magazine that aligns with what you think. That's awesome. You become a thought leader by association, but when somebody clicks that link, what do? They go to Inc. magazine, and all of a sudden look at that article, look at this article, look at that. So now they've gone down a completely different rabbit hole, and you no longer are the focus of their attention. So what happens is the Bacon system is those three things that work together. It's having a website, measuring the traffic, and using content marketing to drive traffic back to the website, and then from there, everything else that you do is built around doing that. And that's essentially what it is. But it's really about creating a relationship and an experience for your viewers, for the people that pay attention to you, for the people that you influence. So that's kind of it in a nutshell, as fast as I can make it.
I love that because I am very, very big on don't build your home on rented properties. And if you know my story with Google Plus, right? Everything was amazing, top brand, first result in organic result. And then Google wakes up one day and says, you know what? We don't feel like having this platform anymore, and your entire thing is swept under your feet. So exactly what Brian is saying, you have to own your properties, because if you don't, you don't have a business, you have a hobby maybe, right? Yeah, and so the second one that I love is original content. We are ranking our clients as organic results within 4 weeks just because we have original content. And a lot of people struggle with it. And Brian, I just saw like one of the biggest frustration of B2B marketers is that they're not personalizing enough with their audience. They feel like they don't do that. And they don't feel like they have enough original content. So we have our own way of going and creating original content. How do you go about that?
Well, it depends on the client and their audience. So the bottom line, when you sit down and you look at your audience, you have to figure out where your audience is paying attention to. So video is great. And I know you use something like Sonia, which allows people to take a video and convert it into an audio, and take that audio and then convert it into text. So you want to see where your audience is consuming things. And then the second thing that you have to think about is, what questions are your clients or people in your market space asking? And how can I answer their questions in a way that's going to help guide them towards my solution?
Right.
And that's really, if you ask that simple question, now you have content coming out of your ears, because you're listening to your people talk, and it's going to allow you to take that and put it into a format that you can put in front of people. So there's so many different ways. I mean, I love the way I write books is I don't sit down and write. I don't type because I suck. I'm Captain Typo. I talk them in. So I will talk my book in and have it transcribed, and then I'll tweak it a little bit, and I'll put it in front of an editor, and an editor will then take it and turn it into a book, that sounds and looks good and has the right emphasis on the right syllable and all that kind of fun stuff. So, creating content is not that hard, and the other secret sauce to all of this stuff is I suck at writing. So what I do is I hire help. Okay, I've got virtual assistants that help me with content marketing. That will, one of the things that I do with my clients, and these are all B2B clients, is I interview them on Zoom. And then we have that transcribed, and then I put that in front of a writer, a virtual assistant or a professional writer, who sits down and takes that content and does two things. They put it in the client's voice, and they answer the questions that their customers have and turn it into content, whether it's a PowerPoint, used in a webinar, whether it's a blog post, whether it's content that could be produced for a video. We're basically trying to get the message out of somebody's head. I mean, I wish there was a port where you could stick a USB cord right in the back of your head and suck out that data.
That'd be amazing.
A microphone works just as well.
Yeah.
So it's not that hard. You just have to have the system in place, and that's why I call it the bacon system. Once you have the system, it becomes easier.
So I love that we are talking about, the first thing that you guys have to have, like everybody else, right? Own your properties. So on your own website, then know your numbers, connect it to Google Analytics, and then you have to get the message out. However you decide to do it, my way, live videos, Brian's way, dictating and hiring help, whatever way that you're trying to do this, find out what your audience wants, right? And give it to them. But there's a deeper level to all that stuff, right? Because once you have the website out there and you have the content and you have the analytics, if nobody knows who you are, if they don't even know that you put up a new website, how would they even know to go and find it, right? So that's where relationships comes in, and that's where you start connecting with people. You are an expert on LinkedIn. Have you been using LinkedIn 2004, I believe, right? Since 2004 I've been on there, and LinkedIn started in 2003. So I've been using it for, 15 years plus? Yeah, so you're my version of Google Plus. You're like the LinkedIn version of me.
Right.
So you've been there since everything, right? Before it was even cool. When you start with a new platform, you usually just don't, there are no gurus, right? There's no I'm the Gary Vee of this thing. So naturally people start connecting and relating to each other and having conversations, and you start connecting on a personal level. And once you have that, you probably find a system to kind of amplify and grow those relationships. So now that LinkedIn has changed and became this the cool place where all the cool kids want to hang out, it's much harder to build those type of relationships, because now it became this spam world, right? Everybody's just messaging people with hey, do you want to... So let's work on the different angle, right? The one that actually works. So let's talk about how do you get out there and build a relationship that actually work and move the needle, right? In terms of business and visibility and reach and all that stuff.
Okay, so let's step back one step and talk about what LinkedIn is now and why it is what it is. And one of the messages that you put out there is your cold calls don't work anymore. Why don't cold calls work? And that's because you have spoofed numbers coming in from all over the world that are dialing in that looks like I got a call from my hospital, and I got a call from a Walmart, and I got a call from my local college. And they were all trying to sell me Social Security, insurance. They're trying to sell me a car warranty. They're trying to sell me credit cards. And it looks like something else. So the bottom line is, because of this spoofing, people aren't picking up their phone because they don't know if it's you. So they're letting it go to voicemail. And the whole thing about voicemail is now it's on their onus. They have to have a reason to want to call you back.
Right.
So if hey, I'm Brian, you don't know me, but, I'm here to, help you do better marketing. And I just did an analysis of your website. And so that same message comes across in email, in contact form, in phone calls. You get that all the time. Every single day. I was looking at your website, and I could see that there are fatal flaws in your traffic margins, and you could be doing better because of alt tags and yada, 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 yada. They have no idea who they're talking to. They're assuming that I'm just, average Joe who hasn't been programming websites for 20-plus years.
Right.
I've been programming websites longer than half these guys sending out the messages were alive.
Yeah.
They're just fishing, and that's what cold calling is fishing. So now we go to LinkedIn, okay? People are being taught, hey, you can make $1 million. You have 30,000 people that you can connect with. If you just message all 30,000 of those people, at least 1% of every 1,000 are going to come back. That means that 10 people out of every 1,000 people you connect with, you're going to be able to sell to. Just think about that. If you can make $1,000, that's $10,000 times 30. You're going to make $3 million. Let's go. Buy my system. You ready? You want it?
How much can I get it? Can I get it? How much?
Right, exactly. But the problem is that nobody pays attention to that because it's junk mail.
It is.
Yeah. And I get this all the time. A guy contacted me and said, I looked at your profile and I could see that we could do mutual business together. It's like, dude, you didn't look at my profile. I don't need business funding. I'm certainly not going to take a cold call from somebody and go to my clients and tell them, hey, you need to work with this guy I never met because he hit me up on LinkedIn.
Right.
So that's the problem. Is that's what we're fighting. And because of that, there are two key things that you have to understand. People spend an hour or 4 minutes, or an average of 4 minutes a day on LinkedIn, 17 minutes a week. They don't spend as much time as they do on Facebook because there's no memes, there's no political arguments, there's no cat video. What's on LinkedIn is articles about things about business. And usually, the thing about LinkedIn that's very unique is LinkedIn is the only platform that does not ding you for posting links outside of LinkedIn.
Really? Because I've heard
makes its money.
Yeah, I totally heard that, like, hey, post your articles, but then edit the post afterwards and add the link afterwards because they do ding you for that. So you're saying they're not?
Well, no, it depends on the article where you're posting to. It depends on the authority of what you're doing. So.
Okay.
If you're posting to Inc. magazine, that goes way up. All right. If you're posting to your own sales page, that can go way down. It depends on the Google ranking, and they have algorithms in there that can figure that out.
Interesting.
So there's nothing. But here's the bottom line: is LinkedIn is not in the business of advertising.
Right.
LinkedIn is the business of getting people jobs. So they make 70% of their money off of jobs, and they only make 5% of their money off of advertising. When we talk about Facebook, they're making almost 100% of their money off advertising. Twitter is making their money off advertising. Pinterest is making their money off advertising. LinkedIn is the only place where they don't mind you going off base. They just want you to log in so that you see what's there. That's their biggest challenge, is getting people to log in. So they want good quality articles in there. They want to be known as the place where people are curating great content. So when you're going on and you're doing the, bring out the phone video, it's like, hi, the sky is blue, and I'm here to tell you why you feel blue and how I can help you because I'm a business coach. That doesn't do much for you, because it's pitching, it's selling.
Yeah.
So let me tell you how the system works really, really well, okay? Starts with this. Is a business card, right?
Yes.
I go to a networking meeting. I grab one of these business cards. I take out my cell phone. I go here and I open up Evernote. All right? So I tap on Evernote, and Evernote allows me to take a picture. All right? So I can take a picture of the business card. As soon as I take that picture, it does OCR, optical character recognition. It sends the person who I get their business card, as long as they can read the email address on it, an email saying, nice to meet you. And that's it. And so what that does is that starts the, hey, I met you at this meeting and remember me kind of thing. Now, when I go into LinkedIn, if I have their email address and I have their name and their company, I can go find them on LinkedIn. And I could say, hey, I sent you an email. I just wanted to connect on LinkedIn too. Let's connect. We met at, CCOB, which was the meeting I went to this morning. So now I just say, let's connect. And then I let it sit there. I'm not going to go in for the jugular and pitch them. I want them to research me. I want them to see the content that I'm posting. I want them to start to recognize that I'm an authority. And the goal of all of this is to get them to know about my podcast, about my blog, about my videos, my live videos that you do, so that people are aware that you're there. So when they see your content, they pay attention to it. And then from there, you start to become an authority. It takes time.
Yeah.
You don't walk into a bar and tap somebody on the shoulder and say, hey, you're pretty, would you marry me? Would you? I mean, it might work 1 out of 1,000, right? But it ain't going to end well, I guarantee you that. So,
I mean, you know what? If it's Brad Pitt, then maybe.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, Brad Pitt may get away with it, right?
Yeah.
But it ain't going to end well for you, I guarantee you.
That's true.
But so the point is you don't go into relationships like that. Why would you do something online that you would do differently in face-to-face?
Amen.
Right?
Yes.
So treat social media like face-to-face marketing. If somebody comes to you, the first question if somebody says, hi, how are you? What do you do? The first thing I say, hey, I do marketing. What do you do? Tell me about you. Let me hear about your company. What are you interested in? I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to connect you up so that you can make money.
Yep.
Or find somebody that's going to be a good resource. I need to be a resource to you. And that works in so many different ways that helps you to build that relationship. Relationships take time, but you know what? If you do it the right way, the quality of the relationship that you have is going to turn into one thing, either a client or a referral. And not everybody will be that. But maybe it's just a good friend. Maybe it's somebody you go have a drink with or go golfing with or go to a concert with. It could be that. But the bottom line is not everybody is going to buy from you. But you have to be present and be human in order for this stuff to work.
I love that. I love that you said that because my experience with Google Plus was exactly the same way, right? We met. We didn't have anything to sell because the platform just launched. We got to know each other. People started businesses together. They fell in love. Some people got married. Life was great, right? And it was all on a trust-based relationship, right? It wasn't kind of like a pitch-based relationship.
Exactly.
And you're right. People completely. It's really amazing to me how we know how to start conversations offline, but the minute you sit in front of a computer, you become a spammer. Buy my stuff, right? Like you forget everything that you would not do in real life. And another amazing thing that you said is, and I love that, if you focus on engagement, right, and you just engage with people, they'll come into your profile and they'll check you out. And one of the best ways that I know to build those relationships is actually compliment someone, right? So if you have someone like a stranger coming into your profile, or not even coming to your profile, they're writing a blog post mentioning you and going like, dude, you guys, I just talked to Brian and he is brilliant. Look at the stuff that he did. You'll get a notification that I mentioned you and you'll be like, who's that stranger who think I'm awesome? Let me go check her out. And now you're seeing all my stuff, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's all about, it's all about social proof. It's all about relationships. It's all about having patience and taking time. I mean, I know from being in this business I've been in business for over 40 years, so I've been doing this for a long time. But in the last 15, 18 years, I go in and I've written 4 books, okay? So I go in and I give a speech on this, all right? And I'll give a speech. It will be 2 years before somebody finally comes to me and says, Brian, I saw you speak at such and such, and I'm ready to work with you. Mm-hmm. And I'm okay with that. I don't expect to be, I go in, people are so used to the, if you've been in the live conference world, I'm going to stand up on stage and I'm going to give you some great information, but really what I want you to do is go to the back of room and buy my package now, and I've got my credit card machine out ready to go kind of mentality.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what people, when they're online, they think the same thing. They think that this is not relationship building, but this is my opportunity to get my features and benefits in front of people.
Right.
And, the features and benefits are, that's not interesting to people. What's interesting to people is, if I take a picture of my dog and put that up, that gets 1,000 likes.
Yeah.
If I take a picture of myself and my book, I might get 5.
So this is interesting.
Know that you're a human being.
Yeah. So Brian, do you? A lot of people think, So there's been different conversations, right? And Carolina is watching us right now. Honey, jump on in and say hi. And thank you for everybody who's clicking and pointing and stuff like that. There's a link to Zoom all over wherever you're watching us, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. Hop on in so we can have a conversation and get to meet you, right? Build those relationships. So there's a very interesting conversation that's happening on LinkedIn as well. A lot of people are posting and saying, hey, this is not Facebook, right? So don't start with the memes and don't start with the, the GIFs, and let's not start politics. But if it's not Facebook and Facebook is on...
self-policing.
It's what?
It's self-policing, meaning that people are in there self-policing, saying this is not Facebook, this is not a place for politics, for religion, for sex, for memes, for any of this kind. And when I say sex, I mean, it goes both ways, men versus women, but also there's a lot of guys who think that LinkedIn is Tinder.
Oh my God, yes. Golly. Did LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook and everything. Guys, social media is not a dating app, right? It's not a dating app. Stop.
Right.
Get to know people. But my question to you is this: if LinkedIn is not Facebook, how do you show your personal side that complements the business side without being Facebooky?
Well, the way that I do it is when I go to meetings, okay, I'll give you a perfect example. I did this morning. So by the way, I got the new iPhone 11 because of the camera, okay, the 3 cameras. Because when I'm at meetings, I take pictures all the time, and I took one of my best friends who was sitting next to me was absolutely amazed. I went, whoa, this is worth every penny I just paid for it. Because so what I do is I go to these meetings and I took a picture of the networking meeting that I was at, and I just said, relationship marketing tip 101, you need to get out face-to-face to meet people in order to create engagement, and I took a picture of the meeting. So that's the kind of thing that shows that you're out and about doing things. It's kind of Facebooky, but it's not, but it's showing who you are and what you do without advertising. That's really what it boils down to, is you can show things, but it has to be business oriented. If you're on a boat and it's a business meeting, that's okay. If you're on your boat and it's just you sailing because you want to show off your yacht because, hey, check out my yacht, my Lamborghini, because I'm rich and you're not, and I'll show you how to get there, don't go there. So it really is about being, and here's the thing, Bacon, let me go through this one more time. Building authentic connections online networking, okay? Authentic means being you. There's a saying that goes, you are who you are when you're driving in your car. And if you are flipping people the bird the whole time and screaming and cursing and all this other stuff in your car, that's probably you in real life. The bottom line is you have to be authentic no matter what you are. If that's what you do, then be Gary Vaynerchuk, okay?
Yeah.
Go for it, Gary V can curse and stand up on stage and, claim BS, and he owns it. That's him. That's authentic.
Well, you know what? But it's interesting enough.
If you're doing that for show.
Yeah, interesting enough. He now has two. He has 2 channels. One of them is cuss free, so I guess everybody's editing his videos and removing all the cussing, so it's fitting for the kids. And the other one is in Spanish, which is not really in Spanish. It just has Spanish subtitles, which I think YouTube does anyway. But right, but it's very interesting that even Gary Vaynerchuk is noticing how the tides are changing and people are preferring different things and very
One of the podcasts I listen to, I don't know if you're familiar with Russell Brunson from
I
Blood
do.
Funnel.
Yes.
But Russell had and Russell had Gary on basically at one of his ClickFunnels conferences, and Gary was the keynote speaker, and he had his brother who edits for him edit the video and edit the audio for the podcast. And he says, I just want you to know that my brother cut out all the curses, because Russell's a Mormon, and I respect that very much. And so he had to cut all that stuff out. It was just like the sentences weren't complete, because he was cutting out all the adjectives. And it was amazing, but that's the way it is. But the bottom line, what we're talking about is being authentic. Is being the real you. And if you can do that online, you can create the kind of relationships that will generate the kind of business that you want. It really boils down to is be real. Don't fake it until you make it. Just be who you are, and learn how to grow those relationships organically.
And it's so true. Frank Kern said, people can steal everything from me, and they have been. They've been stealing his copy, they've been stealing his ads, they've been stealing his graphic. He says, the only thing that they cannot take away from me is my relationships with my customers. And what I love about that, which is so true, right? Especially in our day of age where everything, you put something online and people take it away. And the only thing that you can take is these relationships, right? So now I know you, Brian. And if someone says anything about Brian, I'll be like, nah, that's not the Brian I know. Hold on a second. Right? And let me go talk to Brian. Mm-hmm. Where before it'd be like, oh, really? That a-hole? What did he do? Blah, 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 right? And conversation passed. So we're talking about...
There are people truly that I know.
Yeah, go ahead.
There are people that I know that you meet them in person and they're on stage and, you see them and they're one way. And then all of a sudden you find out on social media when they feel like they've got this shroud of secrecy and stuff like that, they're completely the opposite of what they're putting out there. So they're really good actors.
Yep.
There are a lot of people out there that do that too. And guess what? That will come back to bite you in the behind. I mean, that's the thing about it is eventually people will find that out. And when they do, it's no holds barred. So be careful with that stuff. I mean, be who you are. That's really the key.
And it's funny that you say you are who you are in your car. We have a different saying here. It's like who you are in the bathroom when nobody sees you. So it's like
right.
Yeah. So we're talking about like how do we build these relationships online? And you said a few things. One, be who you are, be authentic, right? Don't fake it. Don't pitch. Don't sell right away. Build those relationships and really invest in them. My other question is a lot of people are now really jaded, right? Because just like you said, we're being spammed in phone calls, we're being spammed in email, we're being spammed in messages. And sometimes you can come across, inauthentic, even though you are authentic, even though you're coming in and going like, hey, dude, I think this will be fantastic. Why don't we talk about this? People are like, hey, what are you doing? And you kind of have to apologize all the time. And what I find really interesting, especially in LinkedIn is a business platform. Everybody there is to make business, have business relationships, grow business, which means everybody there is there to sell. So they want to sell, but they don't want to be pitched, even though they're pitching. So it's kind of like a very weird, kind of culture where everybody's like, buy my stuff, but don't pitch me yours.
Right. Well, okay, so here lies the conundrum, and this is I was working with one of my coaching clients, and I was teaching him about how to use LinkedIn. So there's a couple of things that I think there are 3 points I want to get across. So let me start. Now you have these as memes that I put up on Facebook and LinkedIn. The first thing that I want people to understand is if you call somebody, you're a salesperson. If they call you, you're an expert. All right. So the goal number one is how to become the expert that people want to call. The second piece of this, and this is where a lot of people make a mistake, is they're so busy focused on the people that they don't know. They're so busy prospecting that they negate the relationships that they already have.
Right.
So when I was working with this person, I went through his contact list and I said, hey, I know Gary. You know Gary. When was the last time you talked to Gary? He says, oh, I haven't talked to him in a couple of years. I said, okay, here's all you do. Connect with Gary on LinkedIn. Just say hi. And so I have this strategy. So that's the second thing I want to say is I'd rather spend 10 minutes with 10 people who know me than spend 10 seconds with 10,000 people who don't. because I've already got an established relationship with them, and then there may be something that's there of value to either one of us. It's not about me selling my stuff, it's about me being a resource.
Yeah.
I'll get in. Remind me about the recommendation tip. I'll come back to that. But the third piece of this puzzle is what I call my 10-10-10 strategy. And the 10-10-10 strategy is this, all right? What I tell my clients to do is take 10 seconds with 10 contacts every single day, or 10 minutes. Just take 10 minutes for the entire group. 10 seconds, 1 minute for 10 people, and write 10 words. And the 10 words can be, how are you today? How can I help you? Or, hey, dude, what's up? Tell me what's new. It doesn't matter. It depends on the person. You don't want it to be formulaic. You want it to be authentic. So just a simple little message in LinkedIn to somebody you already know does a couple of things. Number one, it makes you top of mind. Number two, LinkedIn will actually, if you send them a direct message, it will send them an email saying you have a message from Brian or from Jack or from Bill, and it's somebody that you know, and you'll see their face. So that email comes in, and we'll get them to go into LinkedIn and actually look at the message. Now, if the message is all pitchy-pitch, they're not going to pay attention to you. But if you go and say how you're doing, or, hey, I got somebody I think would be interesting for you to meet, that would be awesome. There's something that we all have in our fingertips, and it's usually sitting on this device right here. It's called the Golden Rolodex. Keep records of people that could be a resource to other people. If you come to me and you say, hey, I'm going to be in Chicago, and I need a videographer for a live event. Brian, do you know anybody? Because you're in Chicago. I got 3 people I'll send you right now that are in my CRM or in my contact manager. I say, here's option A, B, and C. These are 3 people I know, like, and trust. Go check them out. What that does is that stops you from having to, research all these companies, and you have somebody here who has actually worked with these people and trust them. Make sure they're going to show up and do a good job and not be drunk on the set. That kind of stuff. So, you have resources to be able to give people and say, if somebody posts a question like, hey, I'm looking for a videographer in Chicago, I'm all over that. It's like, let me give you something first, and when you give something and they get value out of it, you know what? There's a Bob Berg, who wrote the Go Giver book, talks about the reciprocation.
Yep.
Is that people almost feel obligated to give you something in return.
Yep.
And it could be a gift card, or it could be a job. It could be exactly what you need. Or refer you to somebody who could use your services. So the key thing is don't be in such a hurry to sell something. Be in a hurry to help other people, and you'll get what you want eventually.
That's Zig Ziglar, right? You can have anything you want in life as long as you help enough people have what they want in life. So true. And now, so tell me about the recommendations.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, recommendations.
Okay, so the recommendation strategy is this. If you want to get great recommendations, what you do is you give a recommendation first. Mm-hmm. All right, so go find somebody that you've worked with and write a recommendation for them. And make it as good as you can. This person, and be honest, don't lie. Say, I've worked with this person, they're honest, their integrity is great, they have creative values, yada, yada, yada. Whatever you've had the true experience with, and put that in there and send it to them. Number one, it alerts them that you sent them a recommendation. Number two, they're going to put your picture up on their profile. Number three, LinkedIn prompts them to write a recommendation back for you. All right? I could tell you about probably 60% of the people actually will do that. But when they write the recommendation for you, after you've written it for them, people are competitive. They're going to write you an even better recommendation than you gave them because they feel like they have to one-up it. If I ask you, hey, Yifat, go in and write me a recommendation because I was on your show, you're going to say, yeah, Brian, I'll do that. And then you're going to go over here and you're going to deal with your hacked website, and then you got another live video to do, and you got a client project. And then 2 weeks from now, did you ever get around to that LinkedIn recommendation? Yeah, I'll get to that, I promise, I'll get that done. And after a while, it'll become a pain in the ass because I'm asking you to do something that has nothing in it for you. Right. When I give it to you first, more often than not, you're going to stop what you're doing and reciprocate on the spot better than what I did for you. So if you use that same principle, it's actually based in a book of my mentor. His name is Al Ritter. It's called the 100-0 Principle. It's very spiritual. Basically, it's give 100% of yourself 100% of the time, expect nothing in return, and watch what happens. That's how we build great relationships. We don't have strings attached to them. So give something, and then you'll get stuff back, and usually in bounty, in more than what you give.
That is
so
true.
that's the best way to build the relationships on LinkedIn.
So before I jump into you, Stuart, what's the difference between recommendations and endorsement?
Okay, so an endorsement is you can be endorsed for anything. All right. I have been endorsed for underwater basket weaving and cat herding.
No way, you too?
Anything.
What?
They don't have to know you. I know, I'm serious, right? But anybody can endorse you for anything. They don't have to know you. They don't have to work with you. A recommendation is somebody actually has to physically go in and type something. There's in my first book, it's not about you, it's about bacon. I have a rating system, and it's a loose rating system. But here's the bottom line. There's three things that you can do in social media. You can like something, you can comment on something, or you can share something. I give a like 1 point. 1 point means I click a button and I hit like, or I hit a funny face or a sad face or whatever it is. It doesn't take a lot. 5 points for a comment because somebody actually have to go in and type and think about it. And then 25 points for a share because if they like your content so much they're sharing it with someone else, they're sharing you with their audience.
Yeah.
So, a recommendation, basically think of an endorsement as clicking a like button and think of an endorsement as somebody actually not only going in and typing something, but sharing your content with other people.
What's interesting about that is that in my Google Plus days, I also had that level of that ladder of engagement. And it would go after the share, It would go into a personal chat with each other, right? So now we're talking and we're trusting each other. And then the next level would be hangout, face-to-face, or like a Zoom today. And then the next one would be joining on a live broadcast where everybody can see you. And then the next one would be meeting in real life. So you had this like little ascendant, ladder. And a lot of people want to be like, okay, like you said, get married on the first date. That doesn't work.
Right.
It's really cool. So
well, everybody, we're taught in social media, we're taught in online marketing that everything is about the numbers. It's like if you get 1 million visitors to your website, you're going to get more buyers. And as I said before, I think I said it here, that there's one customer where I actually cut their traffic down but got the quality of visitors up. So it wasn't about the quantity but the quality. And they actually increased their sales based on the quality of people that were showing.
And it's true. It's always true. Because we talked about this before. There's this influencer on Instagram, 2.6 million followers, cannot sell 32 shirts because it's not the number, it's not quality, it's quantity, right? So Stuart, let's get you in. Let's unmute you. See. Hello.
Hey, Stuart.
Hello, Brian.
Love the hat, man.
Love your talk on LinkedIn because I'm not experienced at it.
Stuart, we can't see you very well. Lower your screen a little bit. There we go. Like, let's just see more of your face. A little bit more. A little more.
We see a lot of your hat and above it.
There you go.
Well, we can do that.
That's better.
People are used to seeing the cowboy hat, so
it's your bacon.
That was sort of my trademark on Google Plus and everywhere else. And if I ever write a glowing review, I'll call it, of someone, it'll be Yifat. She was about the first person to really bring me into Google Plus so many years ago, I won't even say. But she's a great person.
Yep, I agree.
Your talk about LinkedIn, because that's somewhere I think I need to be to kick off the next chapter of my life, which is the way I think of things as chapters. What do you do, or how do you handle a business that is so disparate that the people you want to contact, make a relationship with, are not people you would normally get together with? There is one major annual convention, but generally speaking, you're trying to contact people directly. I mean, it's got in one form or another. is LinkedIn still the place to try to, I'm talking about a political world.
Sure.
Is LinkedIn still the place to contact the political professional?
I find LinkedIn and politics not to be compatible for a lot of reasons, because it's politics is about it's about the greater good, where LinkedIn tends to be a lot more about dollars and cents. So, can you do political things on there? As we said before, it's kind of self-policing, so it's a little rough. Can you connect with people in politics there? Yes, absolutely. You can have one-on-one relationships, but I would keep it off of the news feed or out of groups and things of that nature. That's much more of a Instagram, Facebook, Twitter world, because politics is obviously a lot more discussed there. But there's nothing wrong with starting a relationship. You don't have to be omnipresent inside the news feed to have a relationship with somebody. So if you know me and you connect with me, we can have a relationship, and nobody out there is going to see what we're saying. So you can still use it as that kind of a communication tool.
I'm not talking about a topical relationship as much as a professional, and you talk about dollars and cents. That's what boils down to when staffing for somebody. So that, in that sense, perhaps it would work. Do you think?
Yep. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, LinkedIn is, if you're looking for, employees and things of that nature, advertising on there is one of the best ways to do it. And keep in mind that, if you post links to jobs, back to Yifat's comment about links, that's, again, pretty much against what they want. You don't want to post about LinkedIn either. They don't want that. You can't even advertise about LinkedIn training on LinkedIn. So there's certain things that you can and cannot do. You just got to make sure that you don't break their rules of engagement. Otherwise, they'll kick you off. So you got to be, careful about what you're doing. If you jump on board and you start conversations that the admins feel are inappropriate, you can get kicked off as fast as anything else.
And let me ask one more quick question,
Sure.
Yifa. Let's switch topics because I haven't made a firm choice.
Mm-hmm.
On cybersecurity,
Mm-hmm.
it seems to me there are some specific things that almost any medium-sized corporation, small to medium-sized corporation, could use as tests of their existing cybersecurity.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to jump in and test it with your red team.
Mm-hmm.
What about things like that? I would think that might be really...
Yeah, that would be huge. I mean, the ransomware that's happening right now, where bad actors are getting in and basically holding files hostage at hospitals and government agencies and those kind of things, and small businesses is a big business. So, yeah, if you have a team of people and can advertise that for a fee, you can go in and check their security, make sure it's safe. It's just like doing, there's an app on my phone that tests my battery to make sure the battery's still working. That's what you do. So yeah, there's as long as you can make a business case and people are willing to pay for that pain point, then LinkedIn's a great place for it. If it's a business case, I think it's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, this is pure pain oriented.
Right, exactly. Yeah, or prevention of pain.
Prevention of pain, because though everybody thinks they got good security, okay, fine, let's test it.
Right.
You won't know when I'm going to, so I'll send you, and go from there. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
And what's interesting is that, Stuart, my site just got hacked, right? So, which is why we're not on the website right now. We're only on Zoom. So yeah, it's a pain that you never want to experience, and once you do, you're going to pay whatever you need to pay to get, to have it dealt with. So there's a lot of companies that definitely need that. Yeah.
I saw you make the mention. On the site that you got hacked, Yifa.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here thinking, I ought to reach out to this guy that I've made a contact with and say, okay, let's team I'll find them. You run the test, you know, that sort of thing. Thank you, Yifa.
You're welcome.
And thank you, Brian, very much.
You're very welcome.
So let's because I know you got a hard stop in like 10 minutes. So let's sum it up, right? Yep. So cold calling does not work. People don't do lunch anymore, not because we became mean, just because we became jaded with everything that marketing has been doing to us in the last 5 years, right? And so you as a business owner, as a B2B, solopreneur, entrepreneur, whatever you are in B2C, wherever you are in that niche, the way for you to kind of like make sure that your business is going to survive the next 5 to 10 years is really focus on relationships. And there's a way to do that online as well. You just need to be human. And so Brian shared a few things. Right. One, own your properties. Don't build your home on rented properties. Own your website. Have a good website. Two, know what happens on your website. So connect it to Google Analytics and know how to read Google Analytics. And if you don't, there's help, right? It's not very expensive. You can figure it out. And three, you need unique content. Right. You can be a curator, but even curators like CNN or Huffington Post or any of those sites, they get, even Forbes. People pay $2,000 a year to write for Forbes, right? So they don't write anything, but they get people to write unique content for them so that they maintain their authority. So you do need unique content. However you're going about doing that, live videos, podcasting, writing, assistant, graphics, whatever it is, you cannot be a curator. So how do you know what to write about? You engage with people, you find out the questions online, you find out what people want to do, and you just answer it. And you can answer it as a thought leader on your profile. And so when you engage, people will come and figure out you're the thought leader because of the content you're sharing. And you can also answer it one-on-one, right? Like this would be the best way to message someone and say, hey, Brian, I noticed you did that. Here's something that you might try. And now you're building those relationships. It takes time, like Brian is saying. Mm-hmm. You do have to meet people in person, but it's not rocket science, right? It's just our normal human way of interacting with people. Just transfer that to everything you're doing online. And one of the things that I keep hearing you say, Brian, is all those automations, all those services that promise you 10 leads a month, or we guarantee 5 calls and stuff like that, and it's a numbers game. Let me end with this. What do you think that it does to your reputation when you're hiring a company like that to represent you?
Well, I've actually talked to salespeople who actually pay for that service, and they pay $500 a month. They get 100 leads. And they contact those people, and I've sat down and had a one-on-one meeting with one of those guys, and I said, okay, you're paying $500 a month, you get 100 leads, you contact them. What have you made out of that? And he said, well, I haven't closed any business, but I'm making great relationships. I said, okay, how many of those people have answered you back? Well, about 10%. Okay, and their answer back was, hey, hit me up in a month, or just hi. Oh, it's just hi. So you've gotten really nothing out of that, and you don't really have a relationship with this person. You just have a contact that's in a CRM, right? Yep. Yeah, that's it. Okay, well, that's not a relationship. That's a contact in the CRM. I can buy an email list and do the same thing. It's not a big deal. Gathering, this is not Pokemon. We're not gathering right. as many Pokemon cards as we need to. It's about really having a relationship with somebody. So, there are certain instances where cold calling will work, but it is a numbers game. But the reality is that people are wanting customized information to them, to their immediate problem, their solution. I mean, we don't have time to get into the whole, tree of content marketing, because that's really, that would be another one that we could do, is talk about, how content marketing works. There's 3 different kinds core. There's awareness content, which are billboards. There's educational content, and then there's sales content. Sales content happens before and after the sale. And what do you do with that? And how do you promote it? And where do you put it? Is it email? Is it video? Is it what? It's all those kind of things. So there's methodologies that you can use to build upon that. But if you don't have a relationship with somebody, just adding them to an email list and sending them an email list is spam.
Yeah.
You know, so doing the same thing on social media is spam. Doing the same thing on a phone is spam. But the one thing I want everybody to imagine, the last thing I want to leave everybody with, just imagine today, you can't be on a computer, you can't have a phone, you don't have video, you don't have email, you don't have a website. How would you go about running a business? And that is what you really got to get back to, is the ultimate basics. And the ultimate basics are, if you were going to run a business, you'd literally have to meet people face to face, because it's the only thing that's there. Back in 1979 when I started, there was no internet. There was no email. There was no, you can get on a phone and call somebody, but that was it. And you had a yellow page directory, but even that was spam. People were not very happy when you called them up out of the blue to sell them something. So, but if you get out and meet people face to face, if you start building relationships, then all those other things become tools in your arsenal rather than the main focus of what it is that you're trying to do.
Totally. And the last thing that I would say is, like, thank goodness we have technology that right now you and I, Brian, are talking face to face, and with Stuart, and we see Neville, we see everybody. So the world, right? Technology is kind of like removing the geographical boundaries, but you still have to have this human connection. Whether you do it in person when you touch them, like you have to fly somewhere or drive somewhere, or you can do it with Zoom or Skype or Do or whatever other technology that's available to you. You have to connect on that human level with people. And once you do, you grow your network. And a lot of people say your network is your net worth, right? Because at the end of the day, it's people, right? It's people out there. So
it is.
So you're doing LinkedIn training, free LinkedIn training once a week or twice a week, or tell us about that and tell people how they can find that.
Yeah, once a week I do something called 3 Tips in 30 Minutes. It's a free LinkedIn webinar. If you go to LI4 Sales, it's LinkedIn, LI for the number 4 sales.com. On there, you'll find a link for the webinar replay. I just posted yesterday, today. I do it every Wednesday. Now it's going to be at 3 o'clock in the afternoon Central Time. You can show up live and ask questions. You can watch the replay. And then after a couple of days, the replay is taken down. I break those into tips. And there's a whole tips library of different things that you can do inside of LinkedIn. So it's a free service if you want to go check it out live or over the next couple of days. And then they go away and I keep replacing them. But I'm always doing tips. Like yesterday I was talking about some advanced topics on how to add a retargeting pixel from LinkedIn to your website so they can start to build audiences and understand how people are reading your LinkedIn content off of your website and how that all interacts.
Oh, I like that.
And using Google Analytics and that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, super cool. So guys, if you want to follow up and stay in touch with Brian, hopefully we'll have our website back and all the links will be there very soon this week. Fingers crossed. All right. But if not, Brian is on LinkedIn. He's on Facebook. He is on podcast. You can listen to him all the time. Do you put those tips in your podcast as well?
Yes, I do. Yeah, but there's different kind of tips. Because my podcast is a bunch of different people with different technologies. So, as a matter of fact, I'm getting close to interviewing the CEO of Sonia. AI you introduced me to.
Nice.
So, it's in the queue.
It's in the queue. So fantastic stuff. So go find, tell them it's not about the bacon. That's the podcast. It's everywhere, right? It's on iTunes, on Stitcher.
It's bacon. It's just Bacon Podcast.
Bacon Podcast.
Bacon Podcast.
And you can find Brian on all social media. You can engage with him. He's very responsive, very nice person. Not one of those like stuck-up people. So he's all about relationships, right? So you guys can totally relate to him.
Right.
And so thank you so much. And thank you guys for joining us. We're going to go take care of the websites. We'll be back with another interview in 2 weeks. Brian, you are amazing. It's very rare to find someone who shares all my values about business relationships and how we should relate to each other. So it's a pleasure to know you and have you in my life.
Thank you, Yvette. It was a pleasure to be on your live. I hope to do it again sometime. I mean, I got a lot more content to offer your audience, so let me know if I can come back sometime.
That'd be fantastic. So thanks, guys, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Have a fantastic day. Bye.